curry chicken. Mm-mm-mm. I have really wanted to go to an Indian restaurant, and I have not been able to do so because of the fact that we're not going in and out of restaurants right now. So that means that I need to prepare it for myself. So if you want to know how to prepare curry chicken, stay tuned. Now, for the coconut rice that this curry chicken is going to lay over, we need, first of all, uh, coconut milk, some water, and of course rice and some salt. So I am starting with a very small pan because of the fact that it's just going to be the two of us. So I'm going to fix just enough rice for us. So I am going to add 1 cup of rice. Rice always needs to be rinsed. So we are going to go over to the sink, and we're going to put some warm water over the rice. I'm giving it a little zhuzh, and I'm going to stir it around. You can see how it's bubbling and that the water is cloudy. And of course I could have done this about 5 times just to make sure that I got all of the starch off. But I didn't do that tonight. So we're just rinsing one major time, and that's why I use such hot water, because I wanted to get as much of that starch off and get it off quickly. So I'm allowing the water to drain, and then we're going to be ready to actually start to put the rice together. Now, because we have 1 cup of rice, then we're going to need 2 cups of, or at least 1.5 to 2 cups of liquid. So I'm starting with 1 cup of water that I'm going to add to the rice. And then I'm also going to put in a cup of coconut milk. And now coconut milk comes very thick. And so you really need to stir and stir and stir so that you can make sure that you've broken the coconut milk up, and that, because you'll see it's kind of clumpy, and so we're going to take care of that. So I've got the rice ready. I'm also going to add in a pinch of salt. About a teaspoon of salt will be enough. I've taken those peppers over because they need to be rinsed off as well. I need to cut those up and have those ready for our dish tonight. So let's get everything prepared. So I've got butter, and I decided that I might put just a tiny bit of butter into the rice as well, just to add a little extra flavor. Now we are going to add some butter to this rice mixture. We've done that. There's our bag of rice that we've been using since the pandemic started, and I have 2 of them. So I just keep working it and using it and keeping it handy. So we've done pretty well. Now I've placed the pot on the stove, and what I'm going to do is just give it another good stir, and I have the temperature up just maybe to about a 4 on my setting, which is kind of a medium to medium high, and I'm going to let this start to bubble. I don't want it to come to an extremely hard bubble because of the fact that I don't want it to stick. You know, it's starchy, you've got the coconut milk, and it will stick very easily. So I need a top. I'm going to put a top on it and just let it continue to simmer until the rice is ready. And so it has everything in there that it needs, and that's a good thing. Now, once we've done that, I've also turned the heat up for the pan on the stove, and I'm going to add a little bit of bacon rendering, the oil, the grease from the bacon. I'm going to put about a teaspoon of that, teaspoon to a tablespoon of that into and onto the skillet, so that we will have that flavor. So there we go, we're putting some in, and as you can see, my skillet was extremely hot, so I am just kind of playing around with it to help it cool off a little bit. And that's what you do, just kind of pick it up or put it off on the side. my spoon had a little bit of moisture and that made it splatter. So, you know, those things happen, but we have to adjust. Now, I am turning it down just a bit, so we are going to be ready to start working on the chicken curry. Now I'm going to start with chicken thighs, and I'm going to place in 4 chicken thighs, and I'm putting them skin side down because I want that skin to cook so that it can release its flavor as well into the skillet. Now, all of this oil is not, all this fat is not going to be a part of the curry, because once the chicken has finished cooking, we're going to pour off the any grease that's in the bottom of the pan and only add back in a teaspoon to finish it off. So we're going to try our best to get this nice and brown. I wasn't so much going for crispy, I just wanted the skin to be brown. Now I could have certainly started with more of a fried thigh and just placed the fried thighs into the mixture, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted my chicken to actually cook in the same pan. So that's the reason why I'm doing that. Now I have sprinkled the chicken with salt and pepper. So I'm adding a little additional salt on this side because I had already seasoned the other side. The skin side had already been seasoned. So now we're going to add some pepper to the back because both sides of the chicken needs to be flavored. So that's what we're doing. Just adding those little extra touches. This is going to be delicious. You know, actually the spices of Indian food is very good for the body. Lots of antioxidants, and you know, turmeric is extremely healthy. And actually the red curry paste has lots of spices in it, lots of cinnamon. And now let's put together the sauce that is going to go over the chicken when it's time. In my container I have the leftover coconut milk from the can, which is almost a cup. I'm adding in a heaping tablespoon of turmeric, and if you really like the taste of turmeric, of course you could double this, but there is turmeric in the red curry paste. Now the red curry paste, I keep mine in the refrigerator once I open it, and I also put it into a Ziploc bag because it has very strong flavors. So keep that in mind. Those strong flavors will take over your refrigerator. So be sure to secure it either in glass or in a Ziploc bag. So here's our red curry paste, and I'm just going to get some about a tablespoon or so into our mixture as well, and you can do 2, you know, or 3, depending on how strong a curry flavor that you like. Now, this is not hot. Some curry paste are hot, but this isn't. I'm also adding in a spoonful of chicken bouillon, and that's to add a little extra chicken flavor to the mixture. So I am just kind of putting that together. I'm going to add in a little bit of chicken broth to this as well. But what I'm doing is mainly breaking it up because it's going to be a little clumpy. So I am just working with that, and of course the coconut milk is thick as well. So this is going to be a very thick mixture. And once you get it into your pan, you're probably going to want to add a little bit of well, you may have to add a little extra chicken broth to your skillet. And the reason is, when you pour this over your chicken and rice, you're going to want a little extra what I call gravy. So we're going to have a little curried gravy that's going to go on. So as you can see, that mixture's pretty thick. So I'm just checking my chicken to see, and I thought I was right there in the screen. As you can see, I wasn't. So I'll bring you over in just a second. All right, we're checking that chicken, and it looks like it's just about ready to flip the first time. So I'm just going to use my tongs and turn those over. They're cooking right along, and we want to make sure that we continue to flip back and forth because we want our thighs to be done, of course. Never, never, never do you want chicken that is not cooked. So I am letting those cook for a little while, and I'm just checking along the way. I don't know if you can see, but the rice is bubbling and comfortably, not too hard, but it is cooking as well. So that's a good thing. Now I'm getting some garlic because I'm thinking, I didn't put any garlic in our sauce, and it needs the garlic. So we're going to add a heaping teaspoon of garlic, minced garlic. You could have used powdered, but I like using the mince, and I put in two of those because it should be very garlicky. I also added in some ginger, which I didn't get on camera, but I also added in a teaspoon of ginger as well, and ginger is so good for the body. So we are just giving that another stir and making sure that our mixture is all together. Look at how thick that is. Now once we get it into that skillet, we'll water it down. Now this is where it's really going to be fun because we are going to start working on the sauce. Now the chicken has been cooking, and as you can see, we have quite a bit of chicken fat in the bottom of that skillet. So I am going to get a clean cup, and what we're going to do with a clean spoon is that we're going to start taking out the chicken fat. So I'm just going to spoon it out because I'm not going to remove the chicken. I want it to continue to cook, but I'm going to just very carefully move that chicken around and get as much of that fat out without it having to leave the stove. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of ladling it out. I needed something small, so the spoon works perfectly. So we will need some of the fat, but not all of that. So now is the time to start to think about exactly what's going to go into our curry sauce, because now that the chicken is just about done, we can start to really add vegetables and goodies into this skillet with the chicken. So I'm still ladling, but off to the side I have cut up onion and carrots and peppers. I've got red and yellow peppers that I'm going to be adding, and I've just sliced them and they're going to be good. So here's our fat, and as you can see, it rendered out almost an entire cup of chicken fat. And you keep that because you can use that later in other dishes just to add in a spoonful and to add that chickeny flavor. It works great. You can even cook eggs in it for breakfast. Now I'm adding in the sliced onion, and what I did was just cut the onion in half, cut each half into fourths, and those are the chunks that I'm putting in. I'm adding in carrots, and I'm putting those in pretty early because the carrots and the onions will need to cook a little longer. I also have some green onions that we're going to add to the mixture because that gives it its Asian flair. So I'm putting in those peppers on top, and we're going to let all of that just get happy together. So while the chicken is working, the vegetables are going to be working as well. So I'm just continuing to add peppers. You can see I've added a lot of vegetables. So there we go. We're letting the chicken continue to simmer because it still needs to cook a little bit. So we're going to continue to let it do that. So I've got to get the green onions and have everything right there ready to go. I've been keeping those fresh tomatoes going, and certainly I wanted to add those fresh tomatoes to this dish. So I threw those in as well. I thought, oh shoot, let's just chop those up and put them in as I put in the green onions, and that worked out quite well. So I am very happy with the beauty and the color of this dish. How much prettier can it get? Now that the veggies are in the pan, we're going to be ready to start adding the liquids. And you know, we already have our mixture that we're going to add in with the curry and the garlic and the coconut milk. So all of that is going to need to go in. So first, I'm adding in a layer of chicken broth, because I just want things to start simmering down in the bottom. And you know, of course, the chicken is under there, so it's going to need to cook as well, a little braising, just for a short time to make sure that the chicken thighs are done. And then we're going to add in our delicious goodness that we have put together. And you know what? It's going to be so good. Now guys, I hope right now that if you have not taken a moment to subscribe, please do that. And if you haven't liked the video, do that as well, because I cook all the time. We cook right here in the home of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, and we decorate and do all kinds of fun things right here in the kitchen, for the kitchen, and definitely for our friends and family. So I am throwing in the good mixture that we made. Let's get that all poured in. I'm giving it one more good stir because I want to make sure that I have everything out of the dish. I don't want to leave a bit of the spice. And I'm even going to take a little bit of the chicken broth and just kind of zhuzh that around as well, in order to make sure that I get everything out of that container. Now we're putting the top on it, and we're going to let it simmer. Now, as you can see, the temperature has come up. It is bubbling. Oh my goodness, it is going to be so good. Woo! It's hot. And I'm just going to run my wooden spoon under it to make sure that it's not sticking, which it isn't. As you know, we do have coconut milk, and as I move these vegetables around, you can see it's nice and juicy, and that's what we want, because we're going to be pouring lots of that juice over our coconut rice. The rice is ready, and I'm just kind of moving things around to make sure that nothing is sticking to the bottom of the pan. So I'm letting that simmer. I'm going to let it simmer about 10 more minutes, and then this dish is going to be ready to serve. You know, wooden spoons are absolutely great. I keep nice wooden spoons, and when they start to look a little yucky, you know what? I keep them anyway, because depending upon the type of wooden spoon you have, you can tell if it's gotten beyond its due date and that you need a new one, but that's not the case now. So this one is pretty new, and you can see it still looks very, very nice. So I'm just kind of bringing it in just a little closer, because actually we are almost ready to start serving. And so I'm letting it continue to bubble, and I'm trying to figure out why my camera has this angle. But you know what? It is what it is, so we're just dealing with it. So I'm checking that rice, making sure it's not sticking, it's warm. There we go, there we go. We got it. I have placed some rice in the center of this plate, and we are going to ladle some of this curry chicken right on top. So we're putting the chicken first, and then we're going to add the gravy, and this is just going to be so good. I hope you have had a wonderful time in the kitchen, and I hope that you will continue to be a part of the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family. I have certainly enjoyed your presence.